record real quick. Okay, welcome everybody to our March SCARP meeting. We are going to just do a quick round of introductions as a small group this morning. So hopefully we'll have some time for some agency updates at the end. So I'll introduce myself first, and then I'll just kind of go around my screen just so we can get through it a little bit quicker. My name is Brittany Dunphy. I am the Community Health Educator at Redington Fairview General Hospital, and I am also the Secretary for SCARP. I'm going to pass it over to Sonia.
Hey, Sonia Campbell. I'm a home visitor with Maine Families, and I am the treasurer of SCARP.
So, Rob?
Paul Lessard, team leader over at Catholic Charities Maine out of Fairfield.
Paul. Rob?
Hi, everyone. Rob Rogers, Kennebec Behavioral Health, Director of Substance Use Prevention and Grant Services, and the Respect Me program, which is a certified domestic violence intervention program working with females.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
Morning, I'm Sarah Lawrence. I do human resources and I'm the leader of strategic planning at Grassroots Case Management.
Thank you. Dana?
Hi, Dana Hamilton, Resource Navigator for KV CAP here in Skowhegan.
Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle with Family Violence Project, the Domestic Violence Resource Center for Kennebec and Somerset counties.
Bree? Hi, everyone. I'm Bree McDonough. I am a family self-sufficiency coach at Maine Housing. Tara?
Tara Harvey, Resource Navigator, Skowhegan, KV CAP.
And Elisa? I know you're driving, Elisa, sorry.
Lisa Sousa, Manager of Community Case Management Services at Crisis and Counseling.
Thank you. And Jody, I know you just joined. We were just doing introductions. You're the only one left. Would you be willing to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jody Waterhouse. I'm from Catholic Charities of Maine.
Thank you. I am going to do my best to go through the agenda and take notes. So if there's a pause, it's just because I'm typing. So the first thing on our agenda is the update from the Community Fridge Work Group. Dana, would you be willing to update the group on our last meeting while I type notes? We can jump in if you just things that stick out in your mind. You're on mute, Dana.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to complete blank. I know. Excuse me. I have a cold and a little bit of a sore throat. So really, if Elisa or you could do the updates, I will try to jump in when I think of something.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks.
Jody, you also might have to help me with the church's side, but we met maybe a couple weeks ago now, just to kind of update each other on where we were at with conversations. I will let Jody speak to the church's side just because she's involved in that. But we did meet with Bruce, who oversees the pantry in Wilton. Is that the correct town? Is it Wilton? Winslow. I knew it started with a W. Winslow. He just shared some insight with us on how they make their fridge work, because they have their pantry and then they have a fridge. So he gave us a lot of good insight and just some suggestions on how to keep it sustainable in the sense of, bodies and efforts. They have a pretty good group of people that aren't necessarily in the original overarching team, but they have a lot of people who are willing to, go clean up the fridge and go bring stuff there. So he had a lot of good insight on that. I think the biggest thing that I took away is going to be the funding, which Maureen Davis, I think is her last name. She was one of the original Skowhegan Fridge ladies, and she does have the list of contacts that she received donations from in the past, and she was willing to reach out to them to see if they would be willing again to donate once we're at that point. But we are working on a proposal. There's no recipient that we've identified yet for the proposal, but it's just to kind of give us some more structure of the project. That was one thing that we talked about at February's meeting when we met in person at the Centenary Church, was having more structure to the program. What is the goal? You know, what are we looking to do? So we are working on that in the work group. So when we do get to the point of applying for grants or, you know, talking with contacts about donations, we have something to give them with information. So I think that's a pretty well-rounded, but Jody, if you would be willing to just talk about the church's end, I think that would be helpful.
Sure. I honestly don't remember what we talked about at the last meeting and what, so, okay.
I can jump in.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, so we did talk about, so a lot of what Bruce said was basically he'll give us food anytime we want it. And he talked about his food truck or his refrigerator being different funding than the food cupboard because of the restrictions with Good Shepherd Food Bank. And he really impressed upon us the communication piece. So possibly starting like a Facebook group, maybe posted through SCARP. And then the other thing he talked about was just like that he's expanding some of his services. And so instead of us going to Waterville or Winslow to get food items, that he's coming to Canaan and he's willing to help us in any way that we may need things. And then Maureen and Patsy are willing to, they talked about being the pickup person on Thursdays. So we talked about like logistics of that and how that may work. We did get a donated refrigerator. The church said we could do dry storage there and possibly a freezer and fridge inside. We still are looking for donation for the outside fridge. And thanks to Rob, tongue in cheek, we did put together this proposal, mostly initiated by Brittany, but to have a little bit more structure to the group. And then we're looking for a fiscal agent. Any volunteers? That was one of the last tasks that we talked about, was we really can't move forward with a lot of things until we do have that person or entity identified.
Okay, I'm looking desperately. I know you sent out minutes, Elisa, but I can't find them. I was trying to look for them to make sure we were touching base with everything. I think if we got a pretty solid proposal put together for whomever we're going to approach for funding, and it spelled out the structure very clearly, I could probably take that to Michelle Prince and ask her to take a look and see if at that point KB Cat would consider being the fiscal agent. I don't know how that's going to fly, but I can always ask.
I think Jody was also going to ask Catholic Charities.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
that's
okay. She doesn't have to, you know, she doesn't have to tell us today. She can save it for the next meeting. We talked about volunteers and support, the supplies for food that they went to McDonald's every 2 weeks and got donations. We do have a shopper that stepped forward and is willing to do the Waterville area. And we talked about getting insulation for the box, like around the sides of it, just to maybe help a little bit in with our varying degrees of weather. And I think it was Jody that said she had a chest freezer, and I was able to get a double door, like a cooler refrigerator that you'd see probably like in a store. And let's see. Cheryl Curtis from Somerset Public Health was going to talk to Sean at Somerset Public Health to talk about just different ideas on promoting and what the Facebook group could look like, and starting like this was actually suggested by Bruce, starting like a calling tree or like a group text of some core people that are involved in case something comes up and something's needed. And in restaurants. So restaurants would drop off food, but we weren't necessarily soliciting them for food. That was just kind of random and intermittent. We talked about food distribution and a little bit about electricity, but basically, again, it came down to we need to figure out who can be a fiscal agent before we go out and solicit money and that type of thing. Does that sound like a pretty good summary? I know it's a little scattered.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. I think the other piece of it was I was going to propose to Catholic Charities that they be the kind of the overarching 501c3 for the insurance and all of that. We're already in the building and already have an MOU with the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I think we decided that was a perfect fit if you could pull that off. Jody.
I'm working on my magic wand.
All right, well, you keep working on that.
One of the other things that Bruce talked about is once we kind of going back to the social media part, even once we identify a fiscal agent, even if the fridge is not there, to start that Facebook page sooner rather than later to let the community know that it is coming back, because there might be some random person that's like, hey, I have a fridge, even though we found one, maybe theirs is nicer, newer, whatnot. And just to kind of get people, or there may be, a family in the area that wants to make a donation, even though we haven't had it set up yet. So I hadn't really thought about that. I can say for myself, I really hadn't thought about having a separate Facebook page. I just kind of assumed that we would do it on the SCARP, but he made valid points that, there might be someone that, or probably a lot of people that would go onto Facebook, look at that page and look for updates. And if it's on the regular SCARP page, it might get, those fridge posts might get lost in the other updates that we give. So along with that, we also have to figure out a plan to keep that Facebook page functioning and active, which I don't think would take a whole lot of work once it's up and going. It's just that communication piece, but it feels like it's coming together. I can say for myself now that we had that our in-person meeting in February, and just Rob's insight on the sustainability was helpful, and meeting with Bruce was very helpful. So I think the project's going to come together really nicely and hopefully stay for the long haul.
Hagen does have a community page or something like that on Facebook where people post stuff. So we might be able, we could post something there to start out with. I mean, we can post on SCARP too, but I know people go there, and I think there's one other place where at least Skowhegan folks tend to, make comments or whatever about activities going on. So yeah, we've got some options anyway. Yeah.
Any questions from anyone that's not in the work group about the fridge project? Okay. So we'll move right along. If anyone has any questions or would like to be on the work group, bodies are going to be important. So if anybody on the call wants to be a part of that project, just let me or Lisa know about that. So next on our agenda is continued discussion on resource education for Somerset County. So this is something that we've been kind of toying with for a few months now, but we really haven't had a huge conversation about what we actually want to do and kind of creating an action plan around that. So we talked about partnering with Huskow and Channel 11 to promote the agencies within SCARP, what SCARP does, what we can offer to the community. So I think today would be a good place to really start creating a work plan about how we're going to do that. And then we've also talked a lot about how to pull youth into SCARP projects and discussions. I think that started a lot with the community fridge project, trying to figure out how we can pull the youth in to have some, part of that. But how else can we pull the youth in? How else can we, make that relationship? So I'll put myself on mute and we can just kind of open it up for discussion.
Well, I know that the thing at KVCC isn't playing out exactly how I envisioned it, but the guy I'm working with is a little concerned about running out of room. So basically it's down to, yes, we want resources, but because we don't have that much room, if the resources could also be looking for applicants that tie in with what KVCC offers, like, like the hospital for, CNAs, or, Jimbro for folks coming out of their programs or whatever, or Crisis and KBH who have been invited because they tie into the MERT program. KV Cap will be there. We'll have 2 tables there for HR for jobs and for, I think, Educare or whatever. So if anyone else wants to be there to provide resources, I mean, I think Michelle, certainly family violence should be there because that's just a general resource that everybody can, should know about or whatever.
And where is this, Dana?
It's at KVCC on March 29th.
So Dana,
Yeah.
I will say we reached out, so Paige Ireland, our harm reduction specialist, and we were told that they were at capacity and could have nobody else join.
Huh. Well, I emailed all that information yesterday to Matt, and I'll see if I got any update stuff. But all right, well, hold off on that, Michelle. Then.
He did let us know that there was another event happening at Skowhegan High School in April, and was gonna put us down for that, and see where they were at capacity wise. But pretty much we were told we couldn't attend the KVCC event, that they were full.
That's interesting because I sent him the contact information for you guys and I didn't get that back. So maybe he didn't realize he already had that.
Okay.
And we're also meeting with Department of Labor with Rapid Response because Pittsfield wants to have a job fair and she always has a separate room for resources. So if that comes off, then that would be wide open for those of you who have been to the job fair in years past it in Pittsfield. That the employers are in one room and then they have all the resource folks right next to them for people to go into. So that might be a better fit, really, even. But we're working on it.
Yeah, and I will say the email, I just double checked to see who it was from. It was from Gary. Is it Coutier? That's who replied to Paige and said that KVCC was at capacity.
All right, let me see what I have back from Matt, because I did glance at before our meeting and I saw I've got an email from him. So yeah.
Separate from that, I would say in trying to get youth involved, so Danielle Dennis and Dawn Fickett, Dawn doing the after school program and Reach, it could go both ways. They're currently looking at what can community members bring to the Reach group, which is the after school program, whether it's like agency support, special trainings, those sorts of things. But I think it would also be a group to approach because they have so many kids that are involved elementary through middle school with that program. It may be a way of getting some youth volunteers. We may need to go and talk to them about a specific project or whatnot. But between Dawn and Danielle, that might be a good connection to access the youth in Skowhegan.
And my email from Matt Clark says KBH and Crisis are in. They've got a table, so he'll be sending information out to whoever that other person with Tina was from KBH that you gave me, and
maybe that's it. So it's more of that it's more of an HR type thing. Paige had reached out about like harm reduction and having resources. Yeah. So it could be that.
Yeah, and I think the pathways folks, Betsy and Linda, are going to try to, because I'm assuming since Reddington is one of the sponsors that they're gonna have a table. So I think they're gonna kind of see if they can kind of slide the pathway stuff on to there and do, kind of sneak in the back door there.
What is the age group we're looking for student volunteers?
I don't know if we currently have anything that, unless it's agency specific, but in terms of SCARP projects, we're not at the point yet where we would be looking for student volunteers. In terms of the fridge, kind of going back to that, one of the things we talked about was the high school population, seeing if they could help with like food drives or, cleaning out the fridge, stuff like that, promotion, if there's like some sort of community service project that they could do when we get to that point.
Goodwill
think it-
Hinckley. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Goodwill Hinckley comes to mind with their you have the charter school, plus you have the college age kids that live there and go to KVCC. They're always looking for volunteer projects, community service projects.
That's
And
good. A
maybe
good point.
Maybe like high school students could work on like a poster or, like an
Mm-hmm.
advertising campaign or something as part of class, but can also like benefit the thing. It'll take away some work if they can make some nice graphic design things for Facebook posts and can make a logo, something like that.
Yeah, I like that idea of a logo, Michelle. That's a good idea. I'm curious also if there's a way, I mean, I know that there's a lot of data out there that other organizations and, whatever has put out about needs, but I'm wondering if there's a way if we, I mean, I have a good connection with Danielle anyway, but if we could create that connection from SCARP with her and Dawn, I'm wondering if there's a way that SCARP could talk with groups of students and just ask, like, what do they think the needs are that we could help with, and what would they like to be involved with for us? Yeah, a couple of things in here about JMG. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but absolutely.
Well, I'm sure David Doyle would be willing to work with us from the high school. He used to come to SCARP and then, when things got a little hanky. So I think he's approachable to start there. And I think he works with the JMG kids too, with I can't think of her name that runs the program there, but yeah. So that's a conversation that can be had for sure. In fact, I believe business after hours next week for Skowhegan Chamber is at the Tech Center. So good time to approach him.
What did you say his name was, Dana?
It's David Dorr, D-O-R-R.
Any other ideas, thoughts on how to promote SCARP and agencies more to the community?
I think Miller's Table is going to have their Pizza with a Purpose again on Thursday nights. So that could be an event on a Thursday night that SCARP does, or SCARP does on behalf of the Fridge, or something like that.
Yeah, I think we need to be ready with our mission statement or whatever to make it really clear exactly what SCARP is when people say, what is that? And, you know, I think the more definitive we can be on all this, and as far as the kids go, I think you're absolutely right. We need their input. And then once we get their input, we need again to clearly define what their role would be and what our expectations would be for their participation. And I think the more clear-cut statements we have, the better off we are.
Danielle has done some work with them already. Some of it was from their last DFC, and I think it's continued, but she actually trained some of the youth where they conducted focus groups, and then they presented that information to the school board. They also presented it at Somerset Public Health's annual meeting last fall. So she does have some of those youth leaders that have some of that experience in doing facilitation and then sharing what data and what their concerns are already. So there may already be some of that information that they're ready to share with us.
I know several years ago, we had the JMG students come to our workforce meeting and make a presentation and interact, and it was awesome. They did a bang up job. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do we have the old bylaws? I can't remember when we sort of transitioned to new leadership within SCARP and digging through some of the old file. I see like the questions around mission vision. Does that currently align? I know we had those. Are those accurate now? But it would have been part of when we originally applied for 501c3 status. We spent a lot of time on that, but that was easily over a decade ago.
Yeah, I think I dug them up off of one of my thumb drives and sent them to Lisa. And did she share them? Didn't she share them with the rest of you guys? Does someone have what I sent out?
I'm gonna share my screen. So we did update it in September of this past year. It's on the Google Drive, and if you're on the SCARP email list, you have access to the Google Drive. It's where we put all the minutes and agendas and stuff. So this is what our mission statement is: to create a cohesive community to create a cohesive community system to support, educate, and advocate for all persons residing in Somerset County. Our purpose is to strengthen existing organizations that contribute to a healthy environment for all citizens of Somerset County, encourage the establishment of new organizations, resources to fill gaps in programs and services, and assist organizations with the coordination of existing resources and assets, identify and prioritize community issues, develop, deliver, and evaluate programs and services which contribute to policy and environmental change. Which I don't think that changed at all from the original bylaws. I think the things that we really updated was the roles of the leadership, just so there wouldn't be any confusion, and if we had, when we do get to change. But I feel like it's broad enough where what we're talking about doing would fit right into that.
Certainly getting the word out, working hand in hand with the TV channel there in Madison, as well as the radio station. It's free. you know, they're really, both of them are really good about supporting community agencies and whatever. So I think making those connections are real important to starting to get the word out little by little, even if it's just saying, you know, this group has been meeting for what, 30 years, Rob, something like that. It has been 30 years. Yeah. Oh my God. Now I really do feel old. Anyway, and you know what our purpose is to start getting people used to hearing us and what we're all about, and then kind of introducing, oh, and by the way, here's some of the projects we're working on, the refrigerator, community refrigerator. So, you know, getting, like I said, getting people familiar with what we're all about, encouraging folks to you know, to join, and or to come to the meetings, and then start introducing the projects that we're hoping to accomplish.
Michelle, I know that you have shared in the past that you have good connections with the folks over at Huskow. Is that something that you'd be willing to do? Just like making that connection with them to see if they would be willing to broadcast that?
Yeah, usually what they've asked in the past is that we just like write up a 60-second public service announcement and then give that to them just to look over and give us any tips and then go in and record. And so if someone wants to be the person to do that, I can certainly send an email linking you and Huskow Radio.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think when we connected with them, whatever we connected, for the looking for the warming centers, they sent me the people to send that stuff to. So, you know, I can certainly send that out to the, you know, I'm sure Michelle has that too, but to the executive committee, so that more than one person has, you know, we need to have a coordinated thing, but you know, you need to have that information too. And I will try to remember to send that out. I guess the question is, who wants to take a stab at writing up the 60-second summary of SCARP?
I mean, I don't mind doing it. I think it's just going to be really just taking what I just read off the bylaws and just making it more fluid. So I don't mind doing that. I can send that to you, Michelle. And you said it's about 60 seconds max.
Yeah, and I can just send, I can email you and Earl and link you both, and then you can just take it and send it to him. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Any other thoughts or ideas?
I don't know, I think Sarah's thing about mission and vision statements, maybe she can work with you to come up with that 60 seconds. Looks like Sarah's got some talents we can definitely use.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't really been paying attention to the chat, so thank you, Dana. Yeah, Sarah, if you want to be involved in that, we would love to have you. And that goes for anybody. If we're talking about something that you feel like you have a strength in, please don't, you know, hesitate to reach out or speak up and say you want to be involved, because that's what's going to make all this happen. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm trying to just figure out what's going on. So try not to be too disruptive, but yeah, definitely my skill sets like strategic planning, writing mission and vision, business planning, like that sort of stuff.
Do you want to be on our community fridge work group? You can help
sure.
us. Wonderful.
Yeah,
there we go,
I'm good
Elisa.
with, like, writing, policy, procedure, all that stuff.
Wonderful. That's awesome. I'll make myself a note. So Elisa or I will reach out to you to get you on that too.
We set a date for our next bridge meeting. I can look at my calendar and figure out where that is. Lisa, do you remember what that is right off the top? The 23rd of March at 11 by Zoom.
So next Thursday.
So yeah, if we can make sure Sarah has that link for the Zoom meeting, that would be awesome.
Can I ask a clarifying question about the fridges that are needed? So my other life, we do a lot of real estate projects and clear out buildings. So I have a fridge right now, but I don't, what particularly is needed? Does it just need to run or any size?
Yes, so there used to be a fridge in Skowhegan, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, Sarah, but there used to be a community fridge in Skowhegan outside of the chamber that was run by 2 community members. And I believe one of them, their husband built a shed box that didn't have a front door on it, but it was built to size of that fridge. So we were planning on reusing it, so we didn't have to build our own shed. So it would have to fit in there, but I don't know if we have the dimensions of that.
Okay.
Or if we would have to get it. I don't remember if that was something that Maureen shared with us.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a Maureen question.
Okay.
I don't know the exact dimensions, but I believe it was a double door stand up, like 30-year-old fridge. So if that just gives you kind of a visual, and then we would ask for dimensions. But I also think we do need storage refrigerators. So if you have a working fridge, I would say yes.
Okay, I will set it aside and await further instruction.
Yeah, if you come across any freezers while you're cleaning out, that would be helpful too.
Awesome. Yeah, a bunch of random stuff just accumulate. So I'll put a bug in my partner's ears and we'll set that one aside.
I think we have a pretty good plan going forward. I don't know if anyone else has any other ideas that they want to jump in, but we can move on to agency updates. If anybody has those, we can just go around the screen. I'll just call on you, and if you have none, you can just say none. But just feel free to share anything that's going on in your agency. If you have any updates on classes, events, programs coming up, just share. So I'll go to Rob first.
Yeah, so probably the biggest thing that's coming up, I think I've sent it out to many of you, but we have a Easter event going on at the Recovery Coaching Center. So ROAR, which is our recovery work group, it stands for Recovery for Opiates and Addiction Resources Work Group. That will be Saturday, April 1st. So it's the weekend before Easter. We didn't want to compete with all the other Easter egg hunts that were going on. So the Recovery Coaching Center is in the same building as Hospice on Madison Ave in Skowhegan. We're going to be doing Easter egg hunt, painting wooden Easter eggs. That way they don't break. The kids can bring them home with them. We had somebody who volunteered to dress up as the Easter Bunny, and we have somebody that volunteered to be a photographer. They're going to get consent forms from parents and email addresses and do all of that free of charge, but send the parents photos with the Easter Bunny if they want them. So it is geared towards family friendly, but the intention behind it is to have places on a monthly basis where people can go that are in recovery, that are safe environments, there's no use of substances going on, and they can try to make connections with other people in the community. Last weekend, we did a snowshoeing event at our Recovery and Wellness Trail. So once a month, we're going to have events at a minimum through ROAR in their coaching center. So that'll be 10 to 2. And it's just a drop in. So anybody's welcome. And then I am continuing to try to start a craft group. I do have a few referrals for that. Was working on a few logistic issues. And then Paige Ireland is on staff now. You met her, I believe, last month when we were in person. And she is completely trained as a tier 2 distributor now. So if you have Somerset residents or businesses that are interested in being trained on how to use Narcan or need Narcan, we can provide that training and distribute Narcan throughout the county. So I think that's it for me. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Sonia?
Right. Excuse me. So our biggest thing is that we, Maine families in Skowhegan, Augusta, and Waterville have now offered a second level of home visitor, so we can hire people at the associates level, not just bachelors. And we have 5 positions open for either. They can be filled by either. So we're just trying to get the word out and bring in more home visitors so that we can provide service. This is the first time they've had a wait list in a long time. And that's hard when you're telling people, yeah, we'd love to help you, but we don't have enough providers. So we're hoping that changing our system and how we hire will bring us more people.
Sonia, with that one in the hiring, did that eliminate the 1-year requirement of in-home experience?
What it's going to be like associates level plus experience, but it's experience with children. It just broadens because we've had people apply who had like 3 classes left for their bachelor's and we had to turn them away. So this just broadens who we can interview because they were being eliminated even before interview process. Where now they'll be told, you know, there's a pathway also to get to the home visitor, the family visitor 2, which is the bachelor's level. So it's not like once they're hired as a 1, they're always a 1. There's a way to get that direction. And they're still working out some of the details of what duties may be different between the 2, but the actual home visiting will be the same.
Wonderful, thank you. Dana?
No real updates for me, but I did put in the chat that CNC Realty are accepting the applications for the apartments in our old building on Mary Street. 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. And I believe they're based on income. You know, that it's not Section 8, but it is, you know, like the apartments in Pittsfield and all, based on that, you know, it has an income thing going there or whatever. So hopefully the main point was building affordable rentals. So that, like I said, that I put that information in chat. So if you have people that are looking for apartments, yay, then I'd say get in there and start applying because they're gonna go fast.
Dana, are those background friendly? Or are there prohibitions?
I'm sorry, are they what, Rob?
Are they background friendly?
I believe so, and they will accept animals.
Okay.
Sarah?
Do any of you know Crossroads Case Management? One, yeah, we have a shared family, Sonia. So maybe I'll just share a little bit about who we are.
Our team refers to you all the time, or quite a bit, our outreach team.
We appreciate it. So we are teeny tiny. We started by 4 case managers back in 2019 who were working different places. We're like, it's time for us to do things different and our way. So we opened in March of 2019, and we've now are 40 employees, and we offer case management, therapy, and now Section 28 services. So we have children's case management, adults case management, and homeless case management. And I've been hiring new staff about 4 or 5 a month pretty consistently for the past probably 6 or 7 months. We've been able to raise our pay as reimbursement rates for the state have gone up, and we've really seen a lot of benefits for that. So we're growing super fast and just trying to figure out what the community needs next to open a new service. Hoping maybe DLS is the way we're gonna go. So, yeah, it's just a little bit about us.
I did my junior internship there with Dustin.
Oh,
So
awesome.
that's, yeah, right at the beginning before there was only 2 employees, I think, at that.
Yeah. You must have left right as I came on. I came on in August.
Yes.
Yeah, I live in Pittsfield and was driving by and saw their sign. I was like, I wonder if they need a business plan because I need one for graduate school. And so I just stopped in, and I was just going to do their strategic plan and walk away. But I found that I really want to be here and stay. So I stuck it out.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Sarah. Michelle.
Hi, so we have some stuff coming up. Our Maine Humanities Book Club, I call it a book club, our reading and discussion group with Maine Humanities Council. I think some of you have been part of that in the past. It's usually a really wonderful group. We're going to try to do it in person again. You get a nice stack of books in the mail for Maine Humanities Council. This year we're going to meet in Waterville, but there's also the option to join via Zoom. So we'll be meeting at the Waterville Create Space, which is really exciting. It's beautiful and right in the middle of town. And we have 2 novels, a book of short stories and a book of poems. So the first one will, discuss the book. The second one, a few short stories, we may assign those ahead of time. If you're able to read the whole book, that's great. But we totally understand people are busy. And then a novel for the third group, and then poems for the last group. And again, we'll assign the poems from the book. But if people read the whole thing and have others that they want to talk about, that is great. Yeah, this is always a really nice time to get together as community members. The theme is, what if we could trace the roots of violence? We know that domestic violence isn't just between 2 people, right? This is a thing that's in our culture that a lot of people unintentionally support, or, we have a lot of belief systems around, who's an abuser, who's a victim. We often, blame the survivor for staying in that relationship instead of looking at why is this person using abuse? And, so we're going to talk about a lot of those different things. And also looking at race and how that ties to it, because it's, oppression is oppression is oppression. When we think about racism, it's, the fear that people feel that, they don't have a choice in these things. I don't know. There are lots of parallels between racism and domestic violence. And so looking at all of these things a little deeper and having hard conversations that can sometimes be uncomfortable, but are really important to have, because how do we change things if we aren't looking at them, talking about them, all of that. So one of the first books, or the first book we're reading, is Born in Crime by Trevor Noah. It's so incredible. It's a book about race. He talks about growing up in South Africa and racism there, but it's actually a book that's a lot about domestic violence because his mom experienced domestic abuse. It is an incredible read and really easy to read. It has some hard parts, but he's just such a good writer. So I hope people will join us. I'll put the information in the chat. I didn't even mean to speak that long about this, but I'm so excited about it as it gets closer. We also have an upcoming volunteer training. Our volunteers are incredible and do an incredible, very long training. It's 8 weeks long, 2 nights a week, 5:30 to 8:30. So such huge kudos to our volunteers who do this. That'll be starting April 1st. And we also are doing a lunch and learn with Reddington Fairview. Thank you, Brittany, for setting that up. This month, it'll be about how domestic violence affects children, or the abuser's impacts on children. And so that is gonna be on the 21st at noon. So you can contact Brittany to sign up for that, and I'll put all that information in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Jody?
Not a lot to report, been working on the fridge, but I do finally have a pretty big group of volunteers starting, and I'm excited about that. So if you know of any elderly people in the area that are homebound and need some help, please send them our way.
Thank you. Bree?
I guess I would share that we have a landlord incentive and repair program that we're really trying to focus on. So one of the bigger issues that we have with our Section 8 people is obviously there's already a lack of housing. And then on top of that, finding landlords that will accept the voucher. So we are offering an incentive program to first-time landlords to accept the voucher. And then if they go through the inspection process and find that, the unit doesn't pass inspection, we have a repair program to help encourage landlords to make those repairs to make it a unit that Maine Housing's voucher would work for. So we're really trying to get the word out to new landlords so that our voucher holders can have more options and hopefully find places quicker.
Bree, can you send that information to Brittany to send out to us?
Sure.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, not a whole lot going on. We have no wait list for adult or children's case management. Biggest thing is we are looking for a adult clinical supervisor. So if you know anybody with a clinical degree, please feel free to send them our way. Other than that, usually we turn around referrals in 5 days to start and go on from there, but really no other agency updates.
All right, thank you. Tara?
I don't really have much to share.
All right, and Elisa?
I will send it to you to put in the minutes.
Yes, I did write that down. Thank you. All right, I have to gather my thoughts to figure out what I'm doing. Not a whole lot, just trying to get through the next few months here with classes. Michelle talked about our DV series that is open to anyone in the community. We do have the list on our website, and I'll send out the flyer. Michelle did put it in the chat, so feel free to look at that, share it with folks. Every month is a different topic, and we are also recording the webinars and posting them on the Reddington YouTube channel. So if there is a past topic that you didn't get to see, you can go on there and watch. We are doing something similar with the Maine Alzheimer's Association, doing a series of different topics. We have 4 different topics. We just had our first one last week or the week before, and we'll have another one at the end of the month. You can sign up for that. Michelle put the community baby shower flyer in there. Thank you for remembering that, Michelle. And that is open to anyone who is expecting or has recently had a baby. It is free. It's a great event. If your agency is not signed up to be there, reach out to Kristen Plummer. I think she's always willing to have anybody come, even though they've got their list pretty much finalized. But if someone reaches out and says, I want to be there, I don't think she'll say no. So if you want to be there, it's a great way to get your resources out to families, especially if you have services that work with children. I'm super excited about this. It's not an update for like community, but I want to share it with you all because it's something that I've been working on for a while. we at the hospital offer mental health first aid training, and one of my biggest barriers was connecting with schools, and it was super exciting for me. Skowhegan School District reached out about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and they are having a staff workshop day tomorrow, and there were staff that reached out and wanted to do it. So tomorrow I'm going to be teaching 30 staff members youth mental health first aid, which I'm super excited. So if anyone has connections with schools, let them know. I've let them know, but sometimes it takes someone else that they're connected with. That Reddington will provide the training for free. So all they have to do is provide the space, the time, and connect with me. So if you have connections with schools, please tell them about that. That's something that we'll just continue to offer ongoing. And I think that's it. Any other last couple updates if you forgot anything? All right, well, if anything comes up, please just email it to the scarpboard@gmail.com and I'll make sure that they go in the minutes. And otherwise, we'll see you all next month. Thanks, everyone.